Hello, I just finished up 33 nights on the Holland America Zaandam, and in this video, I'm going to take you on a ship tour, a cabin tour, and give you all my tips and tricks in case you are sailing on the Zaandam soon. Let's start our tour at the top of the ship. This is the basketball court. They also transformed it into a pickleball court for most of the day. They had beginner sessions, they had tips and trick sessions where they would teach different trick shots or help people work on their serves. And then they also had intermediate and advanced sessions. The basketballs and pickleball equipment are available all day long. And then here's a closer look at those paddles because I know some of you are trying to decide if you want to bring your own. They have shuffleboard available. This you had to special request the equipment. It wasn't just sitting out, and they had shuffleboard tournaments. This is the roof over one of the pools. So this is a big perk of sailing on the Zaandam is that you have an indoor outdoor pool. So no matter what the weather conditions, you can have a great pool day. The tall buildings you see there are the Sydney Harbor skyline. This is when we were docked in Sydney. Now let's head up to the very top of the ship here at the front. The Zaandam was built in 2000. Yep, that's right. This is a 26-year-old ship. At standard occupancy, it can hold about 1,400 guests, but if every bunk is used, it can go up to 1,800. On our sailing, we had about 1,100. So this is a great place to go. You're a little bit sheltered from the wind by the glass, and then you have the beautiful scenic overlooks. We were lucky to dock right in Sydney Harbor. They opened up the bow for our sailaway experience. There are several steps to be aware of. By the way, I'm Angie. I'm a travel agent. This was my 121st cruise, and I use my personal experience and expertise to help travelers like you make great decisions for their upcoming cruise vacations. If you'd like to book with us, email Angie at tripswithangie.com and ask what the current special is. Here is that view from the bow as we are sailing away from Sydney. This is the dock where you pull up. You can see it has the standard ramps up and down, and then we got those incredible views of the harbor bridge. Heading back towards midship, this area is usually set up as a sun deck on warmer weather sailings, and then you can see all the way to the back and a better view of the roof of the pool. Let's head inside and see what we can find on deck 9 forward. The elevators do come all the way up here. On the right and left hand side are entrances to the crow's nest. This is a great lounge in the front of the ship. It was a terrific area for relaxation. A lot of people hung out here. There was a ukulele group that practiced their ukuleles. There was a knitting group that practiced knitting throughout the day. This was also where the trivias took place, and one of the very popular activities on board, the bar hop. So this was the Thanksgiving Day bar hop. I highly recommend signing up. It's a great fun time and a great way to meet other passengers. The bar is a circular bar. It has both a coffee station as well as a regular bar, so you can get all of your lattes and specialty coffees here. It also has the dance floor. This does turn in kind of a disco at night where they play music. It wasn't super busy on our sailing, but there was a couple nights we heard people shut it down about 12:30. These are my favorite seats on board. You have a recliner looking out over the front of the ship. The crow's nest is used for a lot of special events, so be sure to check the program for its opening hours. Heading downstairs to deck 8 forward, we'll find the greenhouse spa and salon. This is extra charge. The salon is wonderful. I had a great pedicure here. You can look out onto the ocean if you're getting manicures and pedicures. There's also a hairstylist on board. You have massages and facials. Now be sure to check the program and listen to the announcements because we had a number of specials throughout our cruise. These bikes are used for one of the extra charge fitness classes, but just accessing the fitness center is absolutely included. On embarkation, you can head up to the fitness center to get a list of the included classes and the extra charge classes and how to sign up. But I thought it was well equipped, especially for the size of the ship. Also included are a male and a female sauna. These are located at the far starboard side hallway. You just walk through the changing rooms and then you'll find them there. Here's a quick peek inside the sauna. Now let's head out to the pool area. So this is really kind of the main hub of outdoor excitement on the cruise. It's a large pool with 2 whirlpools. Here on the side, we find one of the areas that really shows the age of the Zaandam, and that is this shower right here. This is definitely original design that you just have this open shower right here. They have gone to like the glass enclosed showers next to the pools on the later ships. This is Dive In Burgers. This is where you're going to find your burgers and your hamburgers. A pro tip is that you can actually order the Dive In Burgers through the Navigator app. That may save you a time if you're coming from a different part of the ship. If you don't want to use the app, don't worry. They'll take your order on paper and then hand you a pager. So here's a closer look at one of those whirlpools. As you can see, there's a lot of tables and chairs. We only had 1,100 people on our sailing, so we had no trouble with that. I think if you were on a sailing with more people, like if you went to the full 1,800, it would feel crowded. Here's the gazebo set up for the band to play, and they played at one very special event, which is the Orange Party. You're going to want to make sure to pack your orange on your Zaandam cruise. They will have a party celebrating Holland America's Dutch heritage, and it's so much fun. The band was great. Everyone had a great time. There's a little kangaroo up there celebrating that this was a grand journey to Australia and New Zealand. And then here's the beach bar. I love that they added all these fun decorations to make it feel very festive. These bar stools I did not find very comfortable, but serve yourself. The Australian beers were on board. I love that they make a special effort to secure local products. They also did have a New Zealand beer after we passed through New Zealand. Another area just for seating here as we start to enter into the Lido marketplace, which is the buffet. The sweet spot is where you'll find your ice cream. They had soft serve and hard pack, and they do such a great job with special events. We had Easter when we were on board, St. Patrick's Day. The bakery is amazing on this ship. So you can see all the special treats that they made for Easter, all the special decorations. But if you were just on a regular day, here's what the desserts would look like. You have your share of cookies. They did have no sugar desserts available. They always had a hot dessert available. So whether it was a bread pudding or a crumble, you had those options: parfaits, roll-ups, cupcakes, pies. So everything you could want in the dessert realm. The included beverages or teas, you can see here they have a lot of different teas available. Also included is hot coffee. They do come around and ask you if you'd like a drink once you sit down. Iced tea and lemonade are available. Orange juice is also available at breakfast. And then you have self-serve water, or again, they walk around with pitchers. If you're looking for hot sauce, it's going to be near the water station. They have special events each day. This was a dessert extravaganza. Now, if they have this on your cruise, look at the counter behind this area as well, because that had other desserts people didn't see. Holland America serves you on their buffet. The salad bar is great. They have all kinds of toppings. This stays open till about 4 o'clock. You can also get made to order pasta according to your specifications. They do have gluten-free pasta available. There's also baked pastas available every day. Then they have their standard buffet line with your fish, chicken, beef, carved meats. This will be the same on both sides. They have a sandwich station and then pizza. Here's your salad setup. So all different types of salads, charcuterie, pre-made sandwiches, and focaccia. I tried them all for you, and the pepper focaccia was my favorite. But you can't pass up whole strips of bacon on bread, I don't think. And here's a peek at the indoor seating. Heading outside, we're going to head to the sea viewed area. As we head towards the back of the ship, we'll find the sea view pool area. So this was where we hung out when the weather warmed up. We loved it out here. So you have couches for comfortable seating. You have tables and chairs for eating or playing cards. Lots of chaise loungers. They would bring out umbrellas if they could. Our sailing was pretty windy, so they couldn't put them up. This is a very deep pool. This pool goes down to more than 6 feet deep. There is a bar back here, which makes it really fun. And then this is also the smoking area. So the starboard side of the sea view pool is a smoking area. Heading back inside, let's check out the other side of the buffet, but this time for breakfast. So these are the breakfast breads. The ones with the focaccia that I showed you before were the lunch options. All different kinds of breads and pastries. They had my favorite, which was the chocolate muffin. The croissants were really, really popular. There's the chocolate muffin. They also had morning charcuterie. This never looked very good. I would not recommend having it in the morning. Everybody kind of stayed away from it. Fresh fruits that changed, made to order omelets, made to order eggs. They'll toast your English muffin for you, all different kinds of breads. Now at lunch, it changes to a sushi station. The sushi was really good. You can see he's firing the top of a couple sushi. They also had a lot of Asian dishes. The coffee shop right here, and then Canaletto. So this is an extra charge Italian restaurant. For breakfast and lunch, they use the Canaletto restaurant. It's basically part of the Lido buffet. And then at dinner, it becomes the specialty Italian. Heading down in the elevator, let's go check out our cabin. So cabin 6129, this is a Vista suite. So heading inside, I kind of pulled the curtain. You'll find the bathroom, of course. So it does have a whirlpool bathtub. We never turned on the whirlpool. A handheld shower. This was tall enough for my 6'4" husband. We found it really comfortable. We really liked the shower. The shower head does have several different settings. So you can move the little lever along the bottom. So if it's not powerful enough or you want a different spray, you can definitely change it. The water pressure was okay. Not the best we've ever had, but not the worst either. The sink area had plenty of room for storage. We had 3 shelves for all our stuff. Then there's also LMS lotion and hand soap, though we bring our own hand soap to have more antibacterial power, especially on such a long cruise. Across from the bathroom, you have 3 separate storage areas. So on top, you had your life jackets, and then we just use this for shoes, some different storage. The shelves do move up and down. So if you had to store your suitcase in here, you would have space. On one side of the next storage unit is long storage. Again, these also have shelves. So if you would rather have shelves than hanging storage, you have a lot of customizable options here, which I think is really cool. I don't know that a lot of new ships take advantage of this, but it's nice to be able to customize your closet to exactly what you brought. Then in the third closet, we have the towels, the bathrobes, the safe, and then the umbrella, and if you want to get your shoe shined. So this was, and you also has a pole if you wanted to hang things up. All right, this is blocked by a curtain, so it's great if you need privacy as you're changing, especially if you're sharing a room with a friend. Here is the bed. So on one side of the bed, we have absolutely no outlets, but a nightstand with 2 small drawers. We had the beds pushed together. You have a TV. The TV had a ton of free movies. I think it might be because it was a grand journey. Love the hooks. So it had 4 hooks right next to the bed. Thermometer is old school. So you basically just say if you want it hotter or colder. The hooks, the only areas we could find the hooks to really stick to be able to hold weight was on the ceiling. The rest of the walls didn't have a lot of metal pushing through. On the other side of the bed, we have 2 more drawers and a nightstand, the phone, no outlets. You do have a curtain that comes across 3/4 of the way, not the whole way. This is a sleeper sofa. You can see the 2 blankets there for use, a couple shelves, 6 more drawers on one side, 3 more drawers on the other side. This is the desk area. It comes with sorry for the mess there, a magnifying glass and a hair dryer. The hair dryer worked really well. I was very pleased with the hair dryer. In terms of plugs, so we had 1 North American plug, a USB port, a European plug, another North American, and then a couple more Europeans. There are two more North American plugs hiding behind the ice bucket. We ran the CPAP extension cord up along the balcony, back around the couch over to the bed. The 2 blankets are available for use during your cruise. And then we got some special extra goodies since we were on a grand voyage, a couple cups, a couple bags, and these really cool ponchos. I wasn't sure what it was. I'm very impressed with this poncho situation. So large ponchos. Every day you will get a copy of the daily schedule highlighting what's new. It'll have the hours for all the different establishments and the entertainment schedule. There is a mini fridge. I'm going to call it a mini cooler because it does not get prescription safe temperatures. It just kind of kept drinks cold. You can rent a fridge if you need something that actually can keep things cold. A nice sized balcony. So you see the chairs. They also have the footrest, very comfortable, great views. Obviously, we're at sea here, but it was very private. Like looking up into the sides, you can't really see the people next to you. And then here is the view as I was sitting down. I'm about 6 feet tall. Let's head down to deck 5 forward, the location of the main theater. The theater is 2 levels. We entered here on deck 5. You can look down over to deck 4. You can see it's tables and chairs and benches and couches, so you have a lot of different options for seating. On sea days, there would be a coffee chat with the cruise directors and different members of the team. There was also lectures about different topics, including our upcoming ports. And then this is where the shore excursions would meet. As a tip, it's really important to be all together in your group when you check in to make sure you get the same colored ticket and you're on the same bus. We also had a production cast on board that was very good. They just did a number of standard singing and dancing shows that based on a different theme. Then they had guest performers like this fiddler. Leaving the theater on deck 5, heading towards midship, we're going to find the Ocean Bar. The Ocean Bar is a great lounge and bar. Here's the bar where you can sit, and then the beautiful lounge area. During the day, this was a great spot for people to read, and also the site of the ballroom dance lessons. They had ballroom dance lessons every sea day. You can see the setup there for the bands. There were 2 bands on board, the dance band, which was the orchestra that played with the shows, and the Dam band, DAM, like Zaandam, that played in the evenings. They played 3 sets a night. They were so much fun. The guitar player was exceptional in that band. And then there was also another guitar player that would play in the early evening named Amanda. This is the casino area. It wasn't open a lot on our sailing because we were sailing so close to shore. Here are your duty-free gifts, so your cosmetics, perfumes, watches, and jewelry. The mix bar here was very popular for an early evening cocktail. It also served as the sports bar, so it had lots of Australian football, cricket, even NBA basketball. This area is called the mix because it's a mix of 3 bars. So spirits and ale where the TV was, this bar right here, which is supposed to be like the martini bar. Then you have this lounge area set up around the piano. Each evening, Nick would play sing-along hits, 3 sets a night, and everyone loved it. And then in this corner, there's like a little wine bar, but we never saw anyone at it. And I think all the wine bottles were empty. All right, continuing on our music watch, because remember, Ocean Bar had the band and the guitar player. Mix has Nick, and then this area had Vivace, a strings trio that was phenomenal. They played all types of contemporary and classical music. This is the Future Cruise Desk. It was very popular on our sailing. In fact, they did appointment only on sea days to make sure everybody had a chance to book their upcoming cruise. Now I'm going to show you my favorite bathroom on board. I know this sounds weird. Don't worry, I scoped it up and made sure nobody was inside. You're not going to believe this. This is the bathroom. So I heard a rumor that they used to be considered the bride's room. So for weddings on board, this is where brides would get ready. That makes sense with the 3 vanities, the couch, the great windows. I love the wallpaper. I love the paintings on the doors. It's phenomenal. It's my favorite bathroom on board. I also really like that bench over there. Sometimes the Zaandam really shows its age. The king's room was used for mahjong in the afternoons. So they would set up all the tables, and there was a group that would play mahjong every day between 1 and 4 p.m. Usually sea days was a little more popular. Now we're going to head into the dining room. The dining room has 2 levels, deck 5 and deck 4. It's open for breakfast every day, dinner every day, lunch on sea days. You can choose a set dining time, early or main, or you can do any time where you just show up and request a table. We did the 7:30 main, and I highly recommend it. On special nights, the Vivace trio would come and play songs here, which was really lovely, especially on formal nights. Now this is looking down on deck 4. Some tips for the dining room. You can always order the vegetable of the day, and there's always a sundae every night. So keep an eye on that. We loved the, lobster and beef tenderloin night. It is more of a beef tenderloin than a filet mignon. There's also an Indian and a vegan menu. You can pre-order each day. The pastas on board were excellent. We also really enjoyed the fish every night. They did a good job bringing in some local fish varieties from across Australia. And we love how for the soups, they put all of what I call the chunky parts of the soup in a bowl and then drizzled the broth on top. So you got all of the ingredients working together. All of the soups, hot soups we had were excellent. The macadamia nut crusted grouper was the best main entree, and the escargot were so tender. So if you like escargot, you're definitely going to want to order it. Coming out of the dining room on the port side, we're going to find the art studio. There was a number of art activities on board. I guess when people boarded on the first part of the cruise, they signed up in color groups, and then that's how they would make sure there was enough space for everybody to do all the different crafts. Now, important thing to know about the dining room, you can only access the deck 4 part of the dining room from the aft stairwell and aft elevators. Where my finger is the kitchen. So you have to go all the way to the back of the ship, go down, and then you'll be able to head into the deck 4. Now we're still on deck 5. We're going to head to the coffee shop. Shout out to my barista, Brian. This has all your specialty coffees, including cold brew coffee. The library is exceptional on board this ship. I love it. It's so well organized. They have a crew member that is assigned to keep everything in order, keep track of the check-ins, the checkouts. They have all different types of books, young adult, children, fiction, nonfiction, mystery, even some of your slutty little romances, which is very exciting. There's also a book exchange for people who have purchased books and brought them with them. Of course, you have your puzzle room with all the different puzzles in action, and then the game room. So this is what's happened in the evenings. People would come and play all different kinds of games. They have games available for you like Farkle, Cranium, Monopoly, dominoes. They had Yahtzee. You could play cribbage. They had cribbage boards available if that's something you're in. So all of these little suitcases had games in them. So lots of fun things to do on a sea day. The Hudson room next door was used for bridge classes. Since this was a grand voyage, there was a dedicated bridge instructor, and they would have bridge lessons every day. But that's also just a room available if you need any kind of private event or classroom. Back through the casino, you remember that? They have a casino host. They did have a couple of activities, including bingo during our cruise. Now we're opposite the ocean bar. So if you kind of want to listen to the band, but not be in like right next to it, you can sit over here. This is the gift shop with the Holland America branded items. Though you can find that right outside the theater on deck 5. Now let's head down to deck 4. So just outside the theater on deck 4, you're going to find the photo gallery. There are all kinds of photographers on board taking videos. I am sad they don't allow digital only packages. I don't need any more 8x10s of myself, but I would have really liked just to buy a couple digital prints. This is the organ that stretches from deck 3 all the way to deck 5. Here on deck 4, you'll find guest services. You can leave some written comments, or you can submit feedback through the app, which is a really neat thing to do, especially if you're on a long sailing. Short excursion desk is here. You can book all of your short excursions through the app, but if you want to talk to someone, that's here. Captain's Collection is another special area with additional Holland America merch. And then the Wajong Theater. This is a really cool space. They had cooking classes in here, which was neat because they have TV cameras to show you all of the dishes as they're making them. This was the guest chef, Aaron Freeman. Just past the theater, we're going to find the Pinnacle Grill. This is an extra cost specialty restaurant. It was open for lunch on sea days, dinner every day. They had special dinners, Morimoto, Chef Aaron Freeman. They had tamarind. They also had an Easter brunch. The tamarind was exceptional. That was our favorite meal at Pinnacle. All right, now to our final deck, deck 3. There is a medical center on deck 1, but I'm not going to show that, but know that there is a medical center on board. Down on deck 3, they would set up special putting challenges or different games on sea days. These desks are where some of the speakers would set up office hours in case you had questions. And heading out, this is where you're going to find the promenade deck. One unique feature of this ship is they have a wide promenade deck that goes all the way around. You can walk all the way around the ship, which is terrific. So many people took advantage of this. It also has sheds lounge chairs, so it gives them more of an old-timey sailing feel. So a great area to check out. Also a great place to watch the sunset. So overall, the Zaandam really impressed me for being a 26-year-old ship. I thought they have done a great job keeping it up. The main dining room food was the best we've had on any sailing ever. So that is the Zaandam. If you want more information about our actual journey from Sydney to San Diego, check out the Trips with Angie YouTube channel for videos about our New Zealand ports and our time in French Polynesia.